And prior to the break, we were looking at an element of the impact of knowledge of this name on the believer, saying that basically this name also informs us why the making of images by our hands, etc., was prohibited in Islam. And it was basically to prevent the possibility of idolatry. That's the fundamental element. But there's also that other element in which the Prophet ﷺ had referred when he said, الَّذِينَ يُشَبِّهُونَ بِخَلْقِ اللَّهِ, those who try to imitate Allah's creation. And we hear that amongst the artists, the great artists, that they have created something which, as they say, is greater than life. And people become attached to these images. So Islam made this making of images of living creatures and beings prohibited in order to protect the faith of people in general, especially those who could be influenced by the attachment and the love of beautiful or attractive images which they have been raised on. Also, belief in this name Al-Musawwer, like the names Al-Khaliq and Al-Khallaq, they should create in the heart of the believer a sense of awe when they look at the creation. How Allah has made this creation. He has given it form. And in that form is design. Meaning, the snowflakes that fall. How many snowflakes fall in a year around the world? God only knows. But what scientists have found is that no two snowflakes look alike. When you put that simple snowflake which you see falling, it doesn't look like anything, you put it under a microscope and you find this object of great design, very geometric design. And each and every snowflake carries a different design. These are among the signs which Allah has left. As Al-Musawwer, the one who gives form and design to things. These are among the signs for them, assuring them that there is a God, a creator of this world. It is not a product of accident, as some would have us believe. They say, well, the chance collision of atoms and whatever, this is what created this world. It's just by accident. But we say no. When you find design, design indicates a designer. That is a basic principle. This is the argument which was used by Plato. Logical argument for the existence of God. Designs don't come consistently from accident. Meaning, if you take a bucket of paint and you throw it on the wall, it might splatter on the wall and you say, okay, that sort of looks like a hand. That sort of looks like a head. Maybe like a foot. Maybe like a person. Silhouette. If you look at it this way or that way, you might be able to see this. Right? Like the clouds. But, if one were to suggest that we could mix paints, right? We mix paints, add them into a bucket, the different colors, and take this bucket and throw it on the wall and end up with Mona Lisa. Okay, it's the famous painting which artists love. People traditionally from European backgrounds, they adore this as one of the great works of art. You take that bucket of paint with all the colors there and throw it on the wall and end up with a Mona Lisa. Well, common sense tells you that this is not going to happen. Of course, the people who are claiming that this thing can happen, they say, well, no, if you do it enough times, eventually, one time, yeah, it might happen. But common sense tells us the first time that you try it is no different from the billionth time. It's all the same. There is absolutely no chance for this to happen. Absolutely no chance. It's just not going to happen. This is the reality. That everywhere scientists look, inside the plants, inside the animals, inside the earth, inside, outside the universe, the planets, the solar systems, the galaxies, everywhere they look, they find design. Everywhere they look, they find design. So, this cannot be the product of an accident. There is no way. Accidents don't produce design all the time. Occasionally, you might find some design, but no. Like some people say, dropping an atomic bomb in a junkyard. And that explosion producing what? A Rolls Royce. What are the chances of that happening? That's nonsensical. So, this issue of Allah being Al-Musawwer, it gives us that sense of confidence to know that yes, this world was created. God exists. Proof is there. It's quite logical and reasonable. The evidence is there. We don't have to see God to believe in Him. Just as we don't have to see electricity, or to see magnetism, or to see heat. We don't have to see these things to believe it exists. It's enough for us to perceive its effects, and that's enough to believe. Reasonably and logically. Really, those who claim that the world is a product of an accident are really the illogical ones. They're the ones who are following what common sense says completely otherwise. The last point I'd like to raise for us to reflect on concerning Allah being Al-Musawwer, the fashioner and the designer, who gave the creatures their form, their colors, their families, their species, and all these different things, right? If we take it and look at probably the most critical area, that of human beings. Allah created us in a variety of different forms. As He said, He did so that we may know each other. لِتَعَارَفُوا, that we may know each other. Not that we may despise each other and make differences and counting people this way and that way, and we have this thing of race, this person's from that race and the other race. No, this is all nonsense. This is not from Allah. This is human beings. People made up this whole concept of race. Otherwise, reality is that we're one human race. That's the reality. Allah created Adam, as he said, through His messenger, كُلُّكُم مِّنْ Adam, وَآدَمْ مِّن تُرَابٍ. All of you came from Adam, and Adam came from dust. That's the bottom line. We're all one family. And Allah left signs amongst us. Among them, a sign for our times, where issues of race would become a big issue. People divide up. People were enslaved based on the issues of race. He left a sign in the blood of human beings. We come in a variety of different blood groups. And these blood groups are not according to race at all. You may find somebody from the Scandinavia with the whitest of skin, blondest of hair, bluest of eyes, from blood group A. And the rest of the people in that same community are B, O, everything else. And if that person was in need of a blood transfusion, nobody in his or her community would be able to help them. But you can find somebody else from the south of India or in Africa who is the blackest of black. Hair black, pupils black, skin black, but he is A-type blood, and his blood can save that person from the north. What is that but a proof and a clear sign that we are one human race? So, this knowledge of Allah being Al-Musawwer also brings us to that conclusion of a oneness of the human race. We are all one people, and this is what Hajj tells us. That's what we experience personally. And those that have been on Hajj, this is among the things that amaze them. How people come in so many shapes, colors, forms, etc. And what brings them all there together? The faith. So Al-Musawwer takes us back to this unifying factor, which unifies all of humankind, belief in God. With that, dear viewers, we'd like to thank you for being with us in this segment of our program, In the Names of Allah, where we have looked at the 18th name, Al-Musawwer, as a part of the series relating to the creation. Al-Khallaq, Al-Khaliq, the creators, Al-Bari, the originator, and Al-Musawwir, the fashioner. We hope to see you in our coming program, where we'll be looking at the names related to Allah's quality of being the oft-forgiving. Al-Ghafur, Al-Ghaffar, and Al-Ghafir. With that, we bid you farewell. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
When you are weak and the road seems long, remember, just remember, seek strength from the strong. When life is a burden and everything is unstable, remember, just remember, Allah is the able. When nothing makes sense and you're heading for demise, remember, just remember, Allah is the wise. When the way is cloudy and there's no one by your side, remember, just remember, Allah is the only guide. When your heart is breaking and your pain makes you fall, remember, just remember, Allah sees it all. When you are weak and the road seems long, remember, just remember, seek strength from the strong. When life is a burden and everything is unstable, remember, just remember, Allah is the able. When nothing makes sense and you're heading for demise, remember, just remember, Allah is the wise. When the way is cloudy and there's no one by your side, remember, just remember, Allah is the only guide. When your heart is breaking and your pain makes you fall, remember, just remember, Allah sees it